All right, so we're continuing on here in chapter 3, sixth grade. Represent the relationship between distance and time in a coordinate plane. Well, it first starts here. A van travels 55 miles per hour. All right, so first of all, when we make a coordinate plane has what we call an x-axis and a y-axis. And it's this x-axis here that runs horizontally or left to right, and it's the y-axis that runs vertically up and down. And it always starts at 0. All right, and so when we have a van traveling at 55 miles an hour, we're going to label the x-axis, okay, the time, and we're going to label the y-axis the distance. And what we're going to do is, since we're measuring in terms of an hour, that's going to be 1 hour, that's going to be 2 hours, that's going to be 3 hours. And then we're going to see, well, our time distance traveled. Well, in 1 hour, we know we went 55 miles. And then we're going to go in increments of 55, since we're going 55 miles an hour. 55 times 2 is 110 miles. And then up here, I'm going to have 55 times 3, which is 165 miles. So I'm a little off, but you can kind of see what we're doing here. And then basically what we say is, with this 1 hour, we've gone 55 miles. After 2 hours, we get to where those two meet. At that speed, we've gone 110 miles, so we're going to put a dot there. Then after 3 hours, we would have gone 165 miles, so we're going to find that connection point, which is going to be right there. And then what we do is we just kind of neatly, and for what we're doing today, I'm not going to necessarily need you to have a straight edge, but if you want to use a straight edge, that's fine. But it needs to be pretty neat. And it may not be perfectly straight because we're not going to be using actual graphing paper today. You're just going to be sketching the coordinate planes. But you want to just make sure it's not all over the place. And this isn't fantastic, but it's not horrible either. So that would work. Now, let's do our next one. An ant crawls 30 centimeters per minute. So once again, remember what we start with. We get our y-axis and our x-axis, and you're going to want to make these big enough where you can actually read them. All right, and it's going to start with 0. There's our x-axis. There's our y-axis per minute. All right, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Once again, our x-axis is going to measure time. Our y-axis is going to measure distance, and since it's 30 centimeters per minute, we're going to go in increments of 30. Our distance, 30 centimeters. That's going to be 60 centimeters. Go about that same interval. 90 centimeters, and you get the idea. And after 1 minute, and we would probably put here in minutes, so the person knowing it could look at it. In the first one over here, we would put in hours, so the person reading the graph would know. In 1, let's line that up a little better. 1 minute, 30 centimeters. Let's see where 60 lines up with the 2. About right there. And in 3, it's going to be 90 following that rate. Intervals of 30. And we're just going to go ahead, sketch the line neatly. And that's how you're going to make a graph. All right? Let's look at the second part. Once again, represent the relationship, the ratio relationship, using a graph. So, once again, all right, this one's going to be a little different because you see it's not just 1. So once again, though, we're going to start with a graph. We're going to have our y-axis We're going to have our x-axis. All right, and then I'm going to see, well, my first number, I'm going to use that as my thing. So my x-axis is going to be height in inches. All right, and I can see there I've got 30, 60, 90, so I'm going to have 0. I'm going to make that 30. I'm going to make that 60. I'm going to make that 90, pretty evenly spaced. And I can see that my y-axis in pounds is going to be in intervals of 45. So I'm going to say, well, that's going to be 45. And this is going to be called weight in pounds, 45. It's going to be 90. Jump another 2 lines, 135. You see, the idea is these even intervals, evenly spaced between the things here. So we want to see where the 30 inches and the 45 pounds meet. Well, that's about right there. Where do the 60 inches and the 90 pounds meet? Well, that's about right there. And the 90 inches and the 135 pounds meets about right there. And once again, I'm going to use a straight edge. I'm going to go ahead and make that line. And that's how you use graphs, using ratio relationships. Not real hard. We'll talk about this more in class. All right, thanks, 6th grade. Bye.